if your guy does these 7 things, he's playing you for a fool. So, got to read that. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I want to welcome back Robert Manni, the host of Guys Guy Radio and TV, and the author of The Guys Guide to Love. I finally started appointing right. Thank you so much for being here again, Robert.
My pleasure being back, Silka. Hello, everybody.
We have another great topic for you today, Robert. At least I think so. As usual, in my research in the articles I read, I came across a headline, thought, this is interesting. And that is, if your guy does these 7 things, he's playing you for a fool. So, got to read that. What are they doing? Am I a fool? And I'm joking about it a little bit, but there's some interesting stuff in here that goes deeper than just the little cliche catchy title. So that's what I want to talk with you about today. Do you want to say anything before we get going here?
Well, if he's playing you for a fool, then he's not your guy.
He's not, and you're allowing it, which is sort of the purpose of this whole segment, is that you can only be played for a fool if you allow it. But here's some hints. That that if a guy's saying this, if he's doing these, pay attention and see if something is amiss here. Number one here is he tells you that he doesn't want a relationship, but you date him anyway. Now, I do want to say one thing about that. I don't know why that's playing for a fool. That he's just being honest, and then women often think, I can bring him around. Talk to me about that.
Well, hopefully you can bring him around. But if he says he doesn't want a relationship and then he's dating you, then what does he want? Sex.
Yep.
I just leave it right there. I mean, do the math. That's like, do the math. That's what as a guy, if I say I don't want a relationship, but I'll date you, why am I dating you? You want to be friends? Okay, so that's not dating. You want to hang out together? Well, that's not dating. You want to have sex? Great, but that's very easy for a guy. If a guy can get into that type of situation, then you're F buddies, basically. And if that's what you want to be, that's your choice. But if he says that to you, to me, that's shorthand for he doesn't want to, he wants the dessert. He doesn't want to have to, do anything for it.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about this is that women do fall into this, I can change him. He just doesn't know he wants a relationship. And I think that's why I wanted to make, really zero in on that one as well, because we do that. And the takeaway, I think, with this is if a guy tells you that, believe him. It's not going to be changed. And I think you agree with that.
Well, so let me just one last thing on it. So
sure.
I guess part of it is, how did the date, if you will, what was the inciting incident for the date? Did he ask you out? Did you meet online? There has to be some context for it. Did you ask him out? It's all factors that you have to think about. Like if you asked him out and he says, I don't want to have a relationship, well, then he's being honest.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if he asked you out and he's asking you out for a date, then he doesn't want a relationship, but he's having a date. What's something's missing there. He doesn't want the responsibility that comes with it. He just wants the sex.
No. Exactly. So that's you don't allow yourself to be played for a fool, or don't actually, you're the fool if you go for this. So here's another good one. He flirts with you, but doesn't ask you out. So there's guys that just, they're full of compliments, which is nice. I don't know that they're doing anything wrong, but if you interpret that as being, that there's, some attention, or that he's interested, you may be, that may not be the case.
Well, some guys they're just flirty to begin with women, and some guys just like to play. He's in a relationship that he's not super happy with, and he wants that outlet to be able to feel like he's a kind of a cool dude and he can do that. So you have to, again, what's the context? Where is he coming from? Is he a single guy and he's not dating and he's flirting with me all the time and he hasn't asked me out? Is he too shy to ask me out? But if he's flirting, how shy can he be? So you have to ask
Hmm.
yourself a lot of questions like, where is this flirtatiousness coming
Hmm.
from? And then maybe if you're interested, ask him out, right?
That's a good idea. You bring up something interesting too, is that men and women for that matter, and I'll throw myself into this. We can flirt sometimes and just not even realize that we're sending a
Right.
wrong message. Because
Mm-hmm.
I actually am. I'm friendly and I try to be, I mean, you see me on the show.
Yeah,
I tend to, so a lot of people would interpret that as flirting, and maybe that I'm interested when it's like, no, didn't I'm
right.
almost blindsided that it was interpreted that way, which is silly.
That
And maybe
happens
that's,
though.
yeah,
That happens, Silka, with a lot of guys will think, oh, she's being friendly to me. That means she's available and interested in more. Because
right,
guys just they keep like, oh, she's not giving me the Heisman, so therefore I'm
right.
getting a green light. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and the same with guys. Sometimes they really are just being nice, and you're getting just look into it a little bit more. If he is flirting all the time, he never asks you out. Clarify it, like Robert said. Ask him out or ask the question, and then you'll know if this is a road you want to go down. So yeah, something to think about. Here, this is another one that I'm interested in your response. He says he's never been in love.
Well, it's a context again. That one I'd be a little bit like question mark, question mark, question mark, warning
Mm-hmm.
Will Robinson, because he's never been in love. If his guy's 50 and he's over 50, he's never had a relationship. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know what love is. He doesn't know how
Mm-hmm.
to express love. He's never shared love with somebody. That would
Mm-hmm.
be, to me, that's red flag territory, or he's just being dishonest and he's trying
Mm-hmm.
to stave off a potential committed relationship with you because he's not comfortable for whatever reason. But he's saying, well, I've never been in love. Does he want
Yeah.
to be in love? Does he know what love is? I want to know what love is.
Yeah.
Does he
I
know?
love that song.
So there's a lot. You got to do some digging with that. You got to peel the onion there and say, what's this? You
Yeah.
know,
To me,
what
it
50-year-old
sounds like,
man has never been in love?
yeah,
Come on.
to me it sounds like, again, I love how you're putting it in context, because that makes so much sense. Is that sometimes I think it's happened to me. I'm trying to think back because there's something did pop in my head. A guy will say that, like, I've never been in love, like that, I never knew
Maybe
what
like
love
this.
was.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, that's different.
yeah,
That
but
until now, like
yeah,
I've
until
never
now,
been
but
in love
that's,
like this before. It's got to be in context. It could be a compliment where you're saying, I've never been in love like this before, or I've never felt quite this way. That doesn't mean he's never been in love.
well, and I think what some women, they find that attractive, is that, oh, he's never been in love. Well, he just hasn't found the right one like me.
Right.
Or you actually believe that something like that, when it's said, you might change him somehow. Anyway, that particular one
That's
is a huge red
yeah.
flag for me. I
Right.
I
And
would.
then that's into that whole area, Silka, of forgive me for butting in, but I think it's important that, it's you're trying to make yourself, you're trying to create something it's not there, where he's saying
Right.
he hasn't met me yet, and I'm going to change
Yes.
all of that. And
Right.
so many women want to think they're going to change the guy.
Yeah.
Going in there and want to tinker with the guy, that's going to happen. There's going to be a little bit of that going on, but you don't want it to be this project that you're taking
Right.
on. It's home improvement. Maybe that's why all these home improvement shows are so popular with women, because they want to do the fixer upper. Like, don't bother. Like, he has to step up for you.
Here's another one. He texts but doesn't have time to see you. So, I know men love to text. I know when I was, remember online dating, there was a lot of texting, but not, didn't have time to get together. I think, huge red flag, especially if you keep going down that road. What do you think?
I completely agree. I mean, you have time to text. Okay, it only takes a few seconds, and if you're friends, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, don't you want some offline human contact? And if you
Yeah.
don't have time for that, why? It depends on your own situation. Do I want a text buddy? Okay, fine, I've got a text buddy. But who has time? That's kind of frivolous, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be
Mm-hmm.
more than that. If you're looking for some type of partnership, relationship, connection, however you define it, texting alone is not going to do it unless the guy is incredibly articulate and clever. It's like, I just can't wait for his next text. He's so entertaining. And if that's the case, you probably want to meet him in person anyhow.
Well, but I have to butt in here because you just cute something in me. Because I remember when I first started dating again, I was dating a guy like that. He was very clever, very intelligent, very funny. I mean, we would text for hours at night. Meeting him in person, not the same. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, that would have been over with so quickly, so quickly. So yeah, it's a good sign. It also, if he does that with, with you, or even, the good morning texts or something, as she pulls out here, that which makes a lot of sense. He's probably sending that to other women too, which in this case was the case. When the
Yeah,
text you can
good.
do with a lot of people, not just you.
Well, good morning text to me is like, you send a good morning text after you've had a good evening with somebody.
Yeah.
And then in the future, as you're going along, it can be good morning text, but you should have had consummated the relationship in some type of intimate way to start sending good morning texts. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? You just like, I don't, come on. It's sending mixed signals and can be
Yes.
confusing. And to me, it's disrespectful. Like,
Right.
either, what do they say? Shit or get off the pot, you know? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
This is YouTube.
No,
I can
it's
say
okay.
it,
It's
right?
YouTube. You can say
Mhm.
it. That's funny. Here's one that we just recently talked about, that he's newly divorced and isn't ready for anything serious, but wants to see where things go. How do you handle that?
Well, there can be some truth to that, but you have
Mm-hmm.
to be careful protecting yourself and your heart and your emotions, because you don't want that to be too long
Mm-hmm.
a leash on that. Because at a certain point, he's either single and available or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be mindful as to what's going on. And every situation is different and every guy is different. But at a certain point, you have to determine, hey, I want to get, quote unquote, serious. I want to have more of a one-on-one, whatever, with this guy or not, and then
Mm-hmm.
start to bring it up. If he keeps stringing you along, you have
Yeah.
to ask yourself or ask him, are you seeing other people? Is it okay if I see other people? You don't want to be serious? Then maybe I
Yeah.
should make myself available to other guys because
Right.
they contact me. So put it
Yeah.
out there and see how
Yeah.
he responds. Make sure he's not just using you.
Yeah, exactly. See where things go, to me, is insulting. It's like, am I being tested out here or something? It's like, what?
Exactly.
When you're
Right.
serious, when you do want to find someone, let me
Let me
know.
know. Yeah,
You're kind
give
of
me
fun. Let me know. Okay. Other till then, adios.
right.
Uh, he brings takeout to your place, but you never go out. So basically, he always, he doesn't want to go out with you. He just wants to be at home, whether it's your place, well, not his place. I guess maybe that's the point here, is that
Yeah,
he may not be available. He may either have a girlfriend or is married.
I would agree with that. Takeout's nice once in a while, but how about going out in public? He doesn't want to be seen with you. Is that it?
Right. Right.
Do you have the takeout? Is it at his place, your place, whatever? But that seems to me that there's a control factor there that I'm not comfortable with. If I'm
Right.
if I'm on the receiving end of that, I'm like, why can't we go anyplace together? Right?
Yeah.
It's like this does that's like that's a red flag.
Yeah, so just be aware of it.
Yeah.
There is red flagness to this, especially
Yep.
if it's a continual, if it's a habit. Lastly, here, you always set up dates because he doesn't. And I did that too. That was one of my early mistakes, is that I was interested in this one particular guy, and he was obviously not interested in me. I know that now, at least not to the extent that I was. And I would make all the plans, and he would say yes because we kind of had fun, but he never initiated anything.
And
I
it
was
ended. And what happened?
it ended. Of course, it ended,
You
and
ended
I
it?
I allowed myself to be played for a fool.
Okay. Well, I think you just answered the question for me.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
if he's
oh,
not,
I totally
yeah, because
understand that.
it takes two to tango. And like, if you're a dude and like the woman has to keep asking you out all the time, I mean, come on. In any relationship, there's got to be at least 50-50. And I always think that initially the guy should be out there chasing. I mean, the woman can send the signals, but it's nice that the guy, does some
Yeah.
pursuing. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's like the woman appreciates it usually, as long as you're not like stalking. and and then you get to a point where it's back and forth type of
Yeah.
thing. But if she's doing all the heavy lifting on everything, I mean that's not right.
No,
not red
well, and
flags.
and in my case, because I was in transition, moving from Dallas to back to California, it would, I was only in town for 2 weeks at a time or so when I was online dating at first, and
Mhm.
so I was, hey, I'm going to be in town here. Wouldn't this be fun? Or but I didn't allow him to say, oh, well, let's get together. Then it's like I already suggested what we would do. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a horrible way to run somebody off that we have already discussed in other segments. But yeah, don't, if you feel that you're making all the plans that he goes along with it, which seems like he wants to be, I don't know, that's not a good, not a good thing. We're coming to the end, Robert. Anything you want to say before we end this segment?
Yes, I just want to punctuate what your last statement was about if you feel. And I think
Mm-hmm,
that's what, and I agree with this article completely. They're all kind
mm-hmm,
of like, beware, but you have to trust your feelings and your instincts about what's
mm-hmm.
going on. Is this guy
Yeah,
just taking the easy way out? Is he lazy? Does he really like me, but he needs some help, like moving things along? You have to make a lot of those determinations. So
right.
it's for your own self respect, for your own self preservation, for your heart, your soul, your spirit, your energy, whatever. You're in charge of
Mm-hmm.
you, and
Yeah.
just keep it that way, and always love and respect yourself first. Don't change for anybody else.
I love that. Let's end on that,
Mm.
Robert. I'll link to all of your information as usual. Your radio show on UK Health Radio, doing fantastic. Guys Guy
Thank you.
Radio, Guys Guy TV right here on YouTube. Matter of fact, we just did another segment. I'll link to
Yep.
that too once it's out.
Thank
Robert,
you.
thank you. And I look forward to our next conversation on Second Act TV.
Thank you, Silka.